Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to Tallinn Polytechnic School 100th anniversary celebration. Today is a especially important day for us because we have so many friends, so many partners from different projects. Friends from Netherlands, Georgia, Finland, Portugal, Spain, Norway, Poland, England, and Turkey who will join us later. I will give the word to our headmaster to welcome you.
Aitäh, tere. Dear guests, welcome to our school. I am very happy you all come to our anniversary. I hope you will spend nice and interesting time with us today and tomorrow and enjoy today's conference and tomorrow's Tallinn's trip and party. Дорогие гости, друзья, партнеры, разрешите вас поздравить 100-летним годовщиной Таллинского политехникума и также благодарить вас и выразить глубокую радость, что вы нашли время и приходили к нам в гости на нашу сегодняшний семинар и на нашу великую годовщину. Я надеюсь, что вам у нас и с нами весело и интересно, и наша совместная дружба и сотрудничество будет в дальнейшем еще крепче и интенсивнее. Спасибо вам. И я надеюсь, что сегодняшний семинар и завтрашние мероприятия будут интересными и радостными. Спасибо.
And we have another very big thing. Most of you, we know already many years. Some of you from 1990, Polly, what time was it? 96 or something, yeah. But we have a very new friend from Poland. We haven't had any international projects so far, so our Polish friends were very kind and want to sign a friendship contract between our school and Polish school. Will you please? Thank you very much. And now it's if anybody has a speech or something like that, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, list gratulacyjny z okazji jubileuszu stulecia istnienia Politechnicznej Szkoły w Tallinie. Szanowni Państwo, są chwile w życiu szczególnie ważne, które przynoszą nam radość i zadowolenie, skłaniają bez wątpienia do refleksji. Bez wątpienia należy do nich 100. rocznica istnienia Szkoły Politechnicznej w Tallinie. W tym uroczystym dla Państwa dniu w imieniu władz samorządowych składam najserdeczniejsze życzenia zdrowia, wielu uśmiechu i radości na co dzień oraz wszelkiej pomyślności w życiu zawodowym i osobistym. Życzę Państwu, abyście mogli realizować swoje plany życiowe i zawodowe, a podejmowany przez Was trud był źródłem satysfakcji i społecznego uznania. Bez Państwa osobistego zaangażowania w działalność edukacyjną i wychowawczą nie byłoby możliwe skuteczne rozwiązywanie problemów oświaty. Praca nauczyciela, jak żadna inna, zasługuje na wdzięczność i szacunek całego społeczeństwa. Sukces w tej pracy można osiągnąć nieustannie, pamiętając o podmiotowości ucznia, tego najważniejszego ogniwa edukacji. Jak widać, Wam udaje się to znakomicie od 100 lat. Gratulations.
One moment, please. And almost the same in English, okay? There are moments of particular importance in life that bring us joy and satisfaction, that tempt us for reflection. The centennial anniversary of Tallinna Polytechnicum belongs to them undoubtedly. On this day, all of you, on behalf of local authorities, I give you warmest wishes for good health, lots of smiles and joy every day, and all the best in professional and personal life. I wish you that you could realize your life plans and career, and that your efforts would be a source of satisfaction and social appreciation. Effective solving of the educational problems would not be possible without your personal involvement in educational activities. Teachers work like any other, like no other. Deserves the gratitude and respect of the whole society. Success in this work can be achieved by constantly keeping in mind the subjectivity of the student, the most important component of the educational process. As we can see, you do it brilliantly for 100 years. Thank you.
Anybody else wants to say something?
Thank you.
From Norway.
Headmaster Ege, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, thank you very, very much for inviting us to this celebration of your 100 years. We have been cooperating for, I think it's around 5 years, and for us this cooperation has been very rewarding, and I hope it has for you too. We have brought a few little gifts for you, but unfortunately these gifts are to be found in a lost suitcase on its way from the airport, so we'll have to wait with that. But I'm sure you get them before we leave. I'm sure that these first 100 years will be just the beginning for your school, and I wish you all the best of luck for the future, the next 100 years. Thank you very much.
Anybody else? I'm like a teacher. Who is next?
Holland. Ladies and gentlemen, Ege, Mr. Headmaster, well, thank you too for having us here. This is the first time I'm in Tallinn, and my friend Freda, where is Freda? Oh, she's getting the present. The presents were in our suitcase. Yeah. The first time we're in Tallinn, I think, Ege, I promised you at least 6 or 7 years already that we would come over. Well, here we are, and it's great to be here. We saw a bit of Tallinn this morning, and we hope to see more in the next few days. It was really wonderful. Egan and I, and we go back since 2008. First with the managerial visit, you remember, Ege, we stepped in for a school in our surroundings. It was a bit last-minute work. We were, well, we volunteered to have you, and we never regretted it. We then met a delegation of some 6 managers, teachers. After that, it resulted in an exchange with the students, and that's what we're here for, trying to give our students a broadening to their horizon, chances for the future. 4 of your students were with us some 4 years back. 4 of our students were here, I think 2 years back, of our multimedia students. And 2 students, one is over there, we'll be hosting them starting from next week, Sunday, to our school in Arnhem, and hoping to give them a wonderful opportunity too. We go back some 7 or 8 years, and we look forward to working together in the future. I think you run a wonderful school. We had a small impression now, and we hope to be partners for a long period of time. Thank you very much, Ege, and thank you. And for all your teachers, and if you a small tip or something from Vel. Yeah? Take care.
Finish, friends.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting us here. We are so happy to be here again. This is my 2nd time here, and Anne has been here for 3 times, yes.
So it's really nice to meet you all, and thank you very much for my behalf too. And of course, we to present our school, which is Jyväskylä College, and we hope you very many more years. And I have this. Thank you very much for the new started cooperation.
Thank you. Any other volunteers to get a good grade? Thank you very much. We really appreciate. And as our headmaster already told, we spend 2 days minimum together. Very soon we will start our conference. It is not really a conference, it is a friends reunion. And the idea was to talk about cooperation, projects, how to be a good partner. Do we have any problems? And good memories about different projects, I think. Do you agree with me? Sorry? You have to. I have asked some of our partners and friends to make some presentations. I think we are ready to start with the first presentation. Polly Perkins from Holland. I call her a guru of projects because I'm sure she knows everything, how to be a good project manager, how to cooperate with schools, with partners, and hopefully she tells us how to do that. Okay, I will.
Before I start, I've got this bag of presents for you. As you know, they're for different people, but I've got to get rid of them today because there's best Dutch cheese in there, and it keeps melting. So I'll put that there. So, my apologies that I don't speak Russian or Georgian. But here we are. But first of all, I'd like to thank the headmaster and
They will put the microphone on you.
oh,
The small one.
oh yes, yes.
As you see, we have two guys with cameras, telecommunication school, of course, and multimedia. And so far, I think it is online broadcasting in YouTube. So we will be famous. Yeah.
Do you want me to carry it, or you'll have to clip it on my trousers? I'm having to strip here. I hope you don't mind. So, can everybody hear me now? Yeah, is that okay? Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Ega and Headmaster for welcoming, for their invitation to celebrate the 100 years anniversary. I've always enjoyed working with AGA and the language and technical teachers here over the past few years. I must be the oldest here, as you can imagine, so we go back years. But, and I think we always manage to bring our projects to a very satisfactory conclusion through hard work of the teachers here and the partners, but also of the students. And if I can say this, I shouldn't really, but I've always found that AGA's students were the best, really the best. They worked really hard. And so it's thanks to you as well that projects are successful. I think the highlight of working with Ega was when she brought 16 Estonian ladies to my boat in Holland, in Amsterdam, for a meal. And we had a great time with lots of drink and things. And as you can imagine, luckily they managed to get off the boat again, but they stood on the quay and sang Estonian folk songs. Absolutely beautiful. And the windows went open and everybody was staring at, what's going on? What gebeurt here? In Dutch. And neighbours still ask me whether the Estonian ladies are coming back at all. And I said, well, not in the near future. Anyway, when organising projects, I'll tell you that Ega said 1997. Well, I'm afraid my projects go back farther, and one of the first project I did was using internet and virtual communication. It was between adult students in Aarhus in Denmark, Italy, and the Netherlands. And this was before 1997. So how can you do a virtual project with internet and everything? You can't. So it was the fact that they studied the same language packets and then contacted each other by email, the first emails. And it was quite a success, and it was one of the first ones that were ever done. So starting with that, it ended up with Lentec, which is Tentec first, teaching English for technical purposes. That was teaching teachers then. Then Lentec, learning English for technical purposes, and that's when the students, AGA students from here, were fantastic, and they were joining up with students in other places, Slovenia, Holland, Sweden, and it was all based on problem-based learning. How they managed, I don't know, but they did really well, didn't they? I've been involved with other projects, border projects with countries, and IMCA, intercultural projects, which were very interesting as well. But not long ago, I think it was about 6 months ago, even though I'm ancient and old, somebody had found Lentec. It's all still on the web, Tentec and Lentec, had found Lentec and got in touch with me from Germany to ask if I'd be interested in managing another project, a similar project. And it was then that I started thinking, oh my God, am I going to go through all that again? But it's always wonderful to do it, but it costs a lot of work. So I started setting out, looking at something here, baselining and setting attainable goals in European language projects for specific purposes. And with baselining, I know that Georgia's got a fantastic rugby team. Is that right? Yeah, right. Another word for baselining, apparently in business, is scrumming, when they all jump in a heap and start discussing things. So that's what it means a bit. But the official definition, here's what it really is. I'll read it. The process in which key participants in a program or project area agree on the detailed description of the objectives and performance requirements and commit to execute it accordingly. And Poland has, of course, taken the first step. So who are these participants? So we've got schools, institutions, managers, teachers, and of course the students. So when I was looking at this, I thought, what are the baselines that all partners should check? What are the reasons for the project in the first place? Who initiated it and why? Is it for a financial gain? You know, that you need extra money in your school. We've seen from AGA what can happen if you do, that you get a load of nice equipment. Or is it prestige? I think both. But the important thing for when you're in a project is the person that initiates it is not always the one that's going to do all the work. And I think that seemed very important to know from the start who is going to do all the work on the project. When I did a project with Sweden, we did have a meeting beforehand to bash out all these things, which was very good. But within the limited budgets you have, it's not always possible. So what are the baselines that all partners should check? I'm sure in projects you've had problems and worries that you're not going to make it. The most important thing is to make sure you agree with the aims of the project and the form of the product that's going to come out of it. What sort of product is it going to be? Is it going to be a book? Is it going to be a website? Is it going to be all these things? And that's important to know so that you know where you're going. make sure you know how much work is involved and that this is recognised within your organisation. I've had the problem as managing projects that someone else has done the acquisition of the project and I'm supposed to manage it, and this was with Silt in London, I think, and I was asked to work for 32 days, but my organisation was only prepared to pay 4, which was a dilemma. They'd already signed the project, so I was stuck, and I did a lot of work at home. Assess the time allocated, meetings, tasks, and work that's outside the meetings. And is there a backup within your network? So very important is if you're perhaps the only one that's going to be doing the work, is someone at school ready to take on your job? I ended up falling off my bike in Amsterdam. We all bike in Amsterdam. It's very dangerous. And ended up on crutches for 6 months. So that was one of the things that was a problem because nobody at work knew what I was doing. So it's difficult. You need someone who will tell you that. Evaluation or evaluations, because I'm sure that you realise that in European projects, whatever project you're doing, you have evaluations at 6 months, a year, going on till the end of the project. And it's important for people to know at which point it's going to be evaluated and at which point the manager has to send up all sorts of things to Brussels. And if you can be clear to partners what they have to achieve by what time at the beginning of the project, then it helps because they're working on that and they're not surprised when you suddenly say, oh yeah, you're supposed to have put that in 6 months ago or something. So that's important as well. Can the partners ring the bell if they're in difficulties? That's a Dutch expression. It means trek aan de bel. You know, you've got a problem, ding, ding. Can you create confidence in the partners that they feel free to get in touch with you and say, I'm not going to be able to achieve this within the time, so that you can look for a solution. And also very important is to do with number 3, put in a good control system so that you're contacting people all the time to see how it's going. The finances, financial administration, no. I mean, these days, most people have got someone who's so used to doing European projects now that it's not a problem. But in the early days, you know, where's that money gone? Oh, I don't know. Oh, and I think this is one of the things that scares people. The best solution is, of course, to have a dedicated financial administrator. And are all partners aware how much they're going to receive and what they can spend it on? So it's no buying those high heels in Tallinn tomorrow. All those nice shoes you ladies want to get, no. Brussels won't let you spend the money on that. Put in a good, reliable control system, which is understood by everyone. So everybody knows what they can spend their money on from the beginning of the project. Check with all the working partners they are aware of the importance of keeping records of all their costs and the days they have worked. I work with an organisation in France, a school and also a business school. And about 3 years after the project had finished, somebody phones me up and says, do you happen to have the receipt for the taxi you had to take when you nearly missed the plane? This was sort of 3 years ago, and I thought, I'm sure I haven't got that. But I looked through all the papers and I got it. So that was fantastic. But it's those little things that you have to prove you spent it in the right way. Another important thing is check with all the working partners. They are aware of the importance of keeping a record of all their costs and the days they've worked. And the problem is that each country has a different price for their day work. Is that so? Still so? It is still so, isn't it? So that someone who's working on the project from the Netherlands always gets more money than somebody working somewhere else, and it's a frustration. But you have to know that so that nobody starts worrying about it. This bit was for me, so this is where I thought, oh, I'm going to have to do this again. Draw up an agenda before each meeting on which all partners agree, so that you draw up your agenda for the meeting, you send it round, everybody can comment on it, but you've got it there before you start. Make sure the task of the project can be completed before entertaining, so that everybody likes to meet each other, have a nice meal, but you make sure that the work doesn't suffer. That's very important. And you have to have a little whip sometimes. Make sure that all partners are aware of the tasks and you know who is doing what. Don't be too ambitious. That's another thing. People think, oh, I'm going to make a huge website that's going to spread across the world. Make it so that you know that you can do it. Keep within the limits of the project. Always make notes, always. Very important. And be friends with your partners, it helps. And the thing about entertaining, I was working with Sweden, and they all the partners wanted to go to a Swedish sauna. You know what it's like. Luckily, we're all women, so we had the first meeting in the sauna. And sitting there, of course, the Swedish ladies were all used to it, but I was, oh no, I'm not doing this again. So, but we got the work done. The other point is, with all your partners, is compatibility. And test at the first opportunity whether everyone is ICT compatible, including the students, if they're going to work together across the borders. The students in Estonia, in Agger School, were marvellous. They were always trying to adapt so that they could be available. Make sure that teachers and students know when their counterparts are available. It's so frustrating for students if they're trying to contact their partner and the partner's there, but he's in another lesson, the student. So timetable the lessons at the same time if possible. And it's, of course, if you're doing a language project, which I've always done, it's very important, or it's preferable, of course, that the students are roughly at the same level of English, and that you can test them with that, with the Common European Framework from Strasbourg, to make sure they know that they're going to be able to communicate in an easy way with their partners. Also, if the students are following the same type of course, it helps. If you're trying to do a language project and one's studying electrics or the other's studying photography, sometimes it's very difficult to combine them. So that's a very important point as well. The teachers. Agger and I work together with language teachers and vocational teachers. And it's so important that vocational teachers know they are wanted, that they're on the project from the beginning, because otherwise it's difficult to involve them later on. Encourage all the teachers to keep notes, including the vocational teachers. And this is an important point. Try to implement the project in the curriculum. That's very important. Don't let it hang sort of on the side of somebody's curriculum, that they're, oh yeah, I've got to do that project as well. Oh. Don't let them get into that state. Try and integrate it. And also, very important, try discussing that students get points for achieving assignments in that project as part of their assessment. And show the students how they can see that they've improved their language, self-assessment. And I think it's always a good idea, sort of at the end of a project or halfway through, to give the students a language test, even if it's only vocabulary, just to make sure they're learning more. And I'm afraid for students, they don't usually at the beginning of the project. So this is just really a little bit of repetition. Are they compatible? Study area and interests, language levels and ICT proficiency. Time available to spend on language learning. Learning a language is hard work. I keep telling students this. And I was teaching, the last group I taught students then were electricians. And they said, oh, we're not going to need it. Now, everybody in Amsterdam, not everybody speaks Dutch, especially in Amsterdam. So English is always the second language there. And they have to learn it. They have to learn it. It was difficult because they're not quite as motivated as your students, Aga. But they realised they had to learn it. They all have to pass an exam in Holland. Give them a sort of instruction on how they can reflect how they learn. Now, I think if I was ever doing another project, I would choose this subject, because I noticed that all the best students who speak wonderful English have often not even been out of the country. They've been gaming, and doing everything Facebooking in English, gaming. I don't know what they do these days, I've lost track. But always, nearly always, they have to use English. And they are fantastic. What do you use, you students at the back? Do you do a lot of gaming in English? I thought so. If I ever gave anybody homework, I always say, go and do some gaming, go and find somebody in America or something. But who do you contact then? Is it in English? Yeah, all in English. Yeah. And what sort of people do you talk to? Oh yeah, and all in English. Yeah, we don't really need projects, do we? They're doing it. But when I realised that, I thought, actually, that's a really good project to examine that. And involve them from the beginning. And it may be important just to start with a questionnaire so they know what's going to be happening. So, I hope I've covered most stuff in that. If you have anything that you say, from my experience, this has been a problem, I don't think we've got time to discuss it now, but I would be very interested to receive anything by email and write a short article as part of this conference. So if you have experienced difficulties, or if you students have experienced difficulties in projects, I'm sure you haven't with AGA, but you never know. Just let me know, because I would like to sort of examine that sort of thing. Okay, well, once again, thank you very much for inviting me, AGA, and Headmaster. And success in the next 100 years. I don't think I'll be there for the next reunion somehow. Oh. Yeah, I'll go over here. Oh, that's mine, isn't it? Oh,
And plus 100 is a piece of cake in Estonian sauna and Finnish. So thank you, Polly. We have plenty of time tonight during the dinner table and tomorrow walking around in Old Tallinn and bus ride to talk about different maybe problems or successes with each other. And now I would like to ask here Paulo Dias from Portugal, and he will get the microphone. Tule vahetada see.
Right here. No. Hello again, thank you. I believe that you will all hear me. We are very, very flattered to be here today in this Institute centennial anniversary. And of course, we are trying to show you some of our good memories and what we feel that are good experiences in terms of project management, okay? So, I'm going to present three projects that we developed. Two initiatives are developed through the project SEAC, Successful Social Entrepreneurship and Active Citizens. And this project is a bilateral project between our school, the Vocational School of Aveiro in Portugal, and the Tallinn Polytechnic Institute of Estonia. First of all, we believe in first place our school that our school is in fact a very, very experienced school in terms of European projects. We have been participating in more with partners of almost 30 countries and almost 70 institutions for the past 22 years, roughly. We believe that the project methodology it's a fine tool in order to develop both individual and collective skills of our students. Speaking about the social responsibility projects and initiatives that we've been developing recently, we have just brought three examples. What we call the Friendly Handbook, which is a kind of a local national project, and the Inclusive Urban Mile and the Community Day. These two events are in fact within the SEAC project that we have been developing with this institute. This was one of the most funniest projects I've been in because in fact we didn't ask for it. It came to us. This friendly handbook was developed because in our country we still have elderly people without any or almost any reading and writing skills. So they cannot read and write, or in the most cases they do only have the basic level of scholarship. We also have in our country a lot of these people living in our region by themselves. They are alone because, you know, eventually, as you may imagine, the kids and the grandkids, their sons and daughters have left in order to find better living conditions. So in these, the vast majority of our elderly in the district or the region of Aveiro are in fact by themselves. They also have some social institutions that help them during day, and in some cases they provide some assistance and some services in a daily basis. But in fact they are alone. They almost cannot read and write. We are talking about people with 70, 75, 80 years old, or even most. So we and the police, and I'll talk about that later, we found a way to solve a problem that we identified. In our country, the police has also a job of kind of a proximity police. They usually visit the elderly in order to see if everything's okay, if they do need anything in a daily basis. So they just go around because they live mostly in isolated places, not in big cities. So our aim are the elderly that live alone in rural environment, mainly. And in fact, we have established a kind of a partnership with our police director in Aveiro. That old lady over there in blue was truly our mentor. I will return to her later because she, in fact, inspired us to create this, what we call social innovative product, which is kind of a handbook for the elderly to bring with them every day, on a daily basis, with phone numbers that they usually use. She was our mentor because she used to have these kind of funny little papers with phone numbers. Okay, these elderly, these older people, they cannot read and write, but in fact they can use the phone. To be true, they almost use the phone or the mobile phone for everything that they need in order to get support from institutions, to get some doctor appointments and in the medical social centers that we have in our country. And in fact, she had a kind of small papers with small drawings and the phone number. I remember one that was very funny. She had her son phone number, and she depicted it as a kind of a small guy with a fishing rod. And we asked her, and this number, this phone number over here, who's it from? Oh, it's my son. Really, why is he having a fishing rod? Because he's a fisherman. Although, of course, we know nowadays in modern fishing industry, no one uses a fishing rod. But in her mind, she identified a son by the profession, using a fishing rod. So what we did was to create this handbook with drawings for them to understand. We have some advice. We used product methodology. We did, in fact, with students, the analysis, the stakeholders analysis in terms of this social project that we were developing. And we began to sketch, to make design propositions in order to present them to the police. That, in fact, was our national partner. These are some notes on the developing process, are some of our working documents. We aimed for a very simple concept: to have information available for them by the means of drawings or photographies. For example, what you see over there, this was designed in order for them to be able to glue the photographs of their relatives and friends over there, in order for them to identify. It was a very challenging project because, as you may see, it's not easy to transform words into concepts, to draw them, and to make these drawings understandable for those who cannot read or write. In fact, even in graphic, we aimed for the kind of a highly contrasted, as you may see, design with very big letters and big numbers. In fact, this handbook was a kind of a medium format because some of them had mobility and motricity problems. So it couldn't be too small because it wouldn't be practical. But on the other hand, this handbook could not be too big, otherwise they would not carry it with them. So we aimed for almost an A5 format that could be banded and folded, and they could bring this handbook with them every day, just in case of need. We also, this is the second graphic proposal that we made. So we have very different students group working on this project. So each and every group presented an idea in order to contribute to this developing process. And in fact, the police selected 2 of them, kind of a semi-finalists of this. And this was the winning one. And it was very funny because we tried to make this in a kind of a transparency, reflective paper, like you see on those signs that glow in the night. So the idea was to have a handbook for the elderly that could glow in the night, just because it would be easier for them to find it in case of need. So these were the propositions that we made. That, in fact, as you may see, it's easy for you to understand what it is. This is for them to put the phone number of the hospital and from their personal doctor. So you see, you don't speak Portuguese, and you can understand. And of course, you can understand what's there. So the idea was to make things comprehensible through drawings for them. This is the final cover of the agenda of the handbook that, in fact, we handed to the elderly. This project was very, very challenging and was very funny because it was presented in our school. In fact, it was a good example of what is project methodology in social initiatives. And it was, as you see over there, our commissioner, police commissioner, that was a huge partner of us. And in fact, the first finished product was handed to the oldest lady in the living room. She was 93 at the time. And in fact, she began using the handbook for getting all the phone numbers that she needed. Okay? So I think we had a successful product. This presenting and testing was very funny. That's the finished product. As you see, it's A5, almost, roughly speaking. And we also had the elders' feedback. So after the official presentation, a couple of months later, we went to a social solidarity institution where some of the elderly spend their days. And they were already using our little handbooks. And in fact, we received from them some improvements. Some of them told us, oh, you missed the flower shop number. So what's important for you, the flower shop number? But we didn't, in fact, we must be honest, we didn't think of that. Because truly we didn't find it very, very suitable for them. But in fact, it was very funny because they said to us, well, we need the flower shop number, phone number. Why? Because it's good for us to send flowers when some of our friends die, even if we cannot attend the funeral. So it's important for us. The next time we should put the flower shop over there. So, okay, I will have that in mind. Thank you for your advice. And the old lady said to me, well, you don't need it because I've just glued the flower shop card with the phone number in your agenda, so it's solved. So it's a problem-solving thing, so it's very good. And in fact, they still use it, and they cherished it. It was very, very good for us and very rewarding. Even personally and professionally speaking, was a very, very rewarding process and project. This one is the SEAC project. So this project aims to give the students social entrepreneurship skills in order for them to develop several events and initiatives in terms of social events, mainly speaking. And we have already developed several activities. I will just show 2 of them that were developed in Aveiro already. We will be here in May, I believe in May in Estonia, for continuing this project. We we programmed and organized an event called the Inclusive Urban Mile. So it's a kind of a small run through our city. And as we, as a school, have special needs students that are integrated in our school project, we try to gather all these institutions in our districts in order for them to participate in this event. So, as you see, we have the special participation of Professor Ilimar. I haven't seen him yet, but from this institute, He's over there. He's kind of our, I think it was our silver medalist. I'm not quite sure, but okay, there's an evidence that, in fact, he ran in Aveiro, and he almost got the second place. So, apart from this inclusive urban mile, that our idea was to show everyone in town, well, the benefits of sports and how sports could easily include people with special needs and disabled people. So, even through sport, it's very important for us to get these kids involved, okay? Involved in several activities. As you may see, we aimed for this kind of inclusive idea. So we had people, disabled people. We also have our competition, our students that were in the competition, got the medals. And over there you will find our national champion for adapted running. I'm not quite sure of the translation, but in fact, he's a member of our Paralympics team, okay, of a national team. So it's very important for us to show even to our students that these stimuli are very, very important and they are beneficial into their lives in the long term, medium, long term. We also, apart from this little run through the city, we have developed several other activities, and I will just show them in these two photos. We had a kind of a blood donation. So if you wanted, you could apply, and you could be a volunteer in blood donation for our national blood bank, so to speak. So it is important also for students, for teachers, and for other members of the community to be involved in this kind of social initiatives, okay? I don't know if you have the same problem, you will have the same in Estonia, I believe, this kind of things. And apart from the urban mile, we tried to work with the students in project methodology, as I said before, and in fact it was very important for them because they worked in dedicated classes. So we have our normal classes, and some of them were dedicated through the project. So these kind of projects are integrated in the curriculum, in the normal curriculum of our students. And as you may see, they were doing some analysis, and they were discussing with each other, like small companies that needed to buy the services from one another within our classes. And over there, you will find one of the graphic final products that we have developed. So we have developed the poster, the LCD information, the flyer, and the T-shirts. I'm not quite sure, but yes, we also worked on that in order to promote this kind of event, okay? The other social event, still within the SEAC project that we develop with our Estonian friends and partners, is what we call Community Day. In Portugal, in the month of June and June, July, we also tend to celebrate what we call the Popular Saints. These are festivities, profane festivities, where people usually gather in communities, in neighborhoods, for example. And they do celebrate with kind of open day activities. We try to roughly to implement the same, and we call it the Community Day, in which, as you may see, we had some music and decorations and other initiatives in our school premises. So this is behind our main building, our school's main building in Aveiro. And we also tried to include associations, artisans, people that in fact, they do handmade things in order to sell and to get some funding for other social projects. So we invited them in order for them to participate with us in this community day. So as you see, we had this kind of small tents and spots where people could bring their goods to trade. And we also invited some kids from what we call social housing neighborhoods that are in the outskirts of our of our city. So for them to participate in traditional games and for them to be included in this day. This was an open day to all the community, as I said before. Apart from that, it's important for us to state here how the students, in fact, were involved in this kind of activities. So we had our special needs students that were organized in order to promote their own goods, their pastries, small cookies, jellies and jams, and they in fact made it in our school premises, supervised by a teacher and a special education technician, of course, as you may see. But they in fact were responsible for their own spot, and the idea was to give them some more autonomy in daily life tasks, even simple tasks. Even a simple task is a huge victory, as you may see. This was some of the students that were, helping people through the day in order to get them to the right places in our school, and there's an example of the poster that was developed for this day. The students were also responsible for presenting some of partner companies in which they do develop their apprenticeships, and some of them were also responsible for some spots with traditional games, with selling some items in pottery and with other materials. And in fact, it was very helpful for them to understand how to be responsible for their own spot and how to captivate the clients. So it's also has a very practical vision of this. For me, it's all for now. Thank you very much. And in fact, I will be available for any questions, suggestions, and improvements that you may see fit. It was very, very good to be here. And I stick to my time, as I promised Eggy. Thank you very much. It's done. Thank you.
Thank you, Paolo. And now, finally, arrived our last guests, our partners from Turkey. Welcome. Would you like to come and say hello to everybody?
Hello, everybody. I bring a lot of greetings from our friends from Turkey. Very warm greetings, we can say. Everybody misses Estonian Days. We had great 3 days here 4 or 5 years before. It is a great pleasure to be here again. It is a great pleasure to see you again.
Thank you very much. I hope you are not exhausted before coffee and something. We have one more presentation. Mrs. Asesil from Foundation Archimedes will come and tell us about cooperation between foundation and schools and our school.
Hello, my name is Assa Sild. I'm a local, and the reason why I'm attending this event within honorable foreign guests is that I have been managing the projects of Tallinn Polytechnic School on behalf of Estonian Agency for 10 years. So when I was asked to make a presentation, I thought it would be a nice idea to make a short summary about what we have been doing together. So the number 100 is a very significant one, not only if we are talking about people's birthdays. When a school gets 100 years old, this is a mark of consistency and its necessity for our educational system. And there are not many of those schools who have come to that number, so congratulations once more. To give you some idea about the foundation I'm working at, there are some facts about it. It's almost 20 years old. It coordinates and implements different international and national programs, cover the fields of education, research, technical development, and innovation. And we have offices both in Tartu and Tallinn, and the number of employees is 130 approximately. Now, people who have been working on European Commission educational programs probably find many familiar words on this slide. This slide goes back to the 80s, when Archimedes Foundation was not founded yet. So we can talk starting from 90s here. I also started my work with one of those programs, Leonardo da Vinci. And in my today's presentation, we are looking back to our cooperation, starting with a lifelong learning program, 207. Now some figures that show how the budget on education has increased. In the present program Erasmus Plus compared to the lifelong learning program. As you see, the first number, 430 million, this is for the whole period, but the second number, 125.5, is only for 1 year in the new program. So we see that the number is increasing. And now we come to the history, which I would like to talk about, the projects of Tallinn Polytechnic Polytechnic School. During lifelong learning programs, we had 7 projects together, and now within the new program, Erasmus Plus, we have already 3 projects. Okay, and let's start with the year 207. I don't know, maybe there are also partners here about this project and about the others, but the first project was differences and similarities in partner schools. And its aim was to get acquainted with quality systems in partner vet schools in Netherlands, to examine the curricula of different specialities, to visit enterprises connected with partner schools, and to find out how the quality of school management influences students' practice and their entering in labor market. Next year, 2008, the role of information centers and libraries in vet schools. Again, 6 staff members, teachers, for 1 week to Bergen, Norway. During that period, Tallinn Polytechnic School was planning to renovate the library, and it was interesting to examine the libraries in partner vet schools. The target of this project was to get acquainted with the work of information center and library in Bergen Vet School and to take their good practices home. In 2009, teaching photography in Europe. 2 teachers for 1 week to Spain. The target was to visit vet schools where photography was taught, and also enterprises where students could have their practice. The goal of the project was to modernize and develop the curricula of photography at home school. In 2010, teaching exact sciences in European vet schools. Also the project for teachers, 2 math teachers to Oslo, Norway, and 2 physics teachers to Randers, Denmark. The aim was to get acquainted with the working order and methodology of both schools, get the overview of used materials and IT tools, and to take home good practice for those schools, from those schools. In 2011, innovative practice for photography and printing technology for VET students in Netherlands. Now this was for students already, and they stayed for 4 weeks in Netherlands. They worked at local media enterprises, such as photo studios, publishing houses and print shops, getting acquainted with innovative working methods and having great experience from working abroad. In 2013, we skipped 1 year. Probably there was no project this year. So the projects are getting bigger, as you see. It's already for 10 teachers and for 3 exchanges to different countries, as you can see from the pictures also, to UK, to Finland, to Spain. And they stayed for 1 week. Each exchange was for 1 week, and one goal of the project was also to prepare the students' practice in the same countries, but also get acquainted with the technical-based curricula and teaching management of those schools. And now when we come to the next slide, the same countries and almost the same project, only for students. And here already 20 students for 4 weeks to the same countries. Staff had prepared for them. Now we come to Erasmus+, the new program already. Started last year, and this is their first project among the new program. And it's a little bit different. As you see, it's a school-to-school project, and it lasts 2 years. So it's about school education. All the other ones were about vet education. So the partner school is in Portugal, and the partner schools work out an innovative web page, organize short-term students' exchanges, and carry out common trainings for staff in Estonia and Portugal. Tallinn Polytechnic School students come from photography and media specialties. And the last 2 projects are connected with EQUET. My colleague Katrin is going to make a presentation about EQUET later on. I don't know if anyone knows what it is. It's a web tool, a system for transfer, recognition, and accumulation of individual learning outcomes. I don't know how many are familiar with this system, but it's a very popular one in WET nowadays. So the goal for both projects was to get acquainted through the partner schools' experiences with EQUET system and its advantages, and based on those experiences, start using it also in Tallinn Polytechnic School, the goal of the project. And now comes the best part of my presentation. We would like to thank those project